So, in a previous video, I showed you the interactivity of this platform that I built, you see. So I showed you how the features, how you can use the website as a whole. But now I wanted to show you a more technical, I wanted to show you how things work under the hood, okay? So how I built this platform. So the tech stack for the front end was Angular, and for the back end was well, for the front end was Angular with Tailwind CSS to help with the styling, and the back end was Java with Spring Boot as the framework. Okay, it also leverages the movie database. Um, yeah, so it basically does a proxy to the movie database API so that it can fetch movie information. Okay. It also uses an H2 in-memory database, but it could also use a SQL, any SQL data store. You could also use any SQL data store, MySQL, SQL Server, you know. So, um, here our application has this Swagger. Okay, so it has this OpenAI view. And the thing that stands out the most, okay, here we have some interesting features, and I think the most interesting feature is the ability that we have to um, upgrade from a guest user to a fully registered user. Okay, so you can, when the application initializes, the front end makes a request to this guest endpoint. And what happens is, well, you navigate the application as a whole with this guest user that was just created. But then later, if the user, I don't know, creates some playlists, and wants to do more in our application, wants to have access to more features, because certain features are limited to only registered users. Okay, so if our user wants to upgrade to a registered user, he can, and he will keep everything that he did with he'll keep everything that he did as a guest user. Okay, so I can show that to you. So we can create a guest user right here. Okay, so here guest user is true, and we have this ID, and we need, the only thing that we need to do is to pass this ID, you know, to the register endpoint, and it's going to register this guest user with these credentials. Okay, so that the user may log in later. Okay, so attempting to log in with this user succeeds. Okay, with these credentials actually. Okay, so another interesting feature that I wanted to show you was the configuration of the plans here. Okay, so we our user is able to to switch between different plans, different tiers of subscription in our application. Okay, so he can, well and we in the back end can configure what these plans are capable of, what features each plan has with this configuration file. Okay, so I chose to use this configuration file because I think it's very simple to show it to people that are not so technical and get them to understand this. Okay, so if we were to create some weird format and store it in the database, perhaps we would have a harder time showing people what are the features of each plan. Okay, so I think this is really useful and interesting. Another thing that I wanted to point out is the ability to make review drafts. Okay, so you can begin working on a review. So you begin typing your essay, you set your rating, you see, and you can navigate away from our application, and when you come back, it's going to be saved, and it's going to be saved automatically. So you do not need to click save draft or something, because the front end deals with this. Okay, so the front end is debouncing. So each time the current review changes, okay, he waits for 2 seconds until that change, um, until actually there are no more changes, you see. And what happens is, after these 2 seconds, he's going to make a request to this endpoint in the back end, which is going to save the draft for this movie and for this user. Okay, it's going to save the review draft. And then later, when you come back, you can just fetch it. Okay? I think that's basically it for reviews. Now for playlists. Well, the playlist is really simple. You just create and add playlists, add movies to playlists. Okay. And the movie control, actually, the movie endpoint is just a proxy to DT, the movie database API. Okay. So there's nothing fancy here. Well, I think that's it. I thank you for listening. I tried to make this really. I tried to make this as bug-free as possible, and I put a lot of effort into thinking, into designing these endpoints. Okay, so I thank you for listening. I really thank you, and I appreciate your um, attention. Okay, thank you.